Welcome, my lovely people, to another episode of Judgment Free with NB3. I'm your host, Nelson Bernard III. So, for this month's episode, this one is called Stepfathering. And this was interesting for me because um, it had some interesting scenarios and encounters when it comes to this. So, for those who do not know, I'm a stepfather of three adult children. I got a 26-year-old stepdaughter. Then I have a 24-year-old stepdaughter with two kids of her own. And she has a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, which makes me a grandfather, aka G Daddy, as they call me, because I'm really cool, right? And then I have a 23-year-old stepson. So I can honestly say that my stepfathering journey from the beginning till now has been awesome. What I mean by that is like there were really no really rough patches. It's been all love and respect since day one. And I don't foresee it being any different, right? And being a stepfather to children that you didn't raise, right? I only been in their lives going on 7 years. So they were very young adults when I came into the picture. Their father is still in their lives and, active and everything, right? So that has always been interesting to us. Being a stepfather, you have a different scope, right? You didn't grow up with them, you didn't raise them, you ain't been around a long, long time for the most part. Some people, have that role, but I don't. So I'm definitely an outsider, but I'm also have the least amount of baggage, least amount of history with them. So I end up being a listening ear, a non-judgmental, non-dismissal type of person in situations. And and the funny part is I missed this in my retirement speech. So when me and mom first started dating, our relationship with me and the stepkids would be they would call me when they couldn't get a hold of their mom. And they'll say, "Well, mom at?" Because they so used to their mom being available and having access to them 24/7, right? So that was pretty hilarious, in the beginning. But I also want to cultivate that relationship with them because I want to have more influence. I want to be able to help them and guide them through this game called life because they're trying to figure life out still. They all live in the house with us. So yeah, full house. We can have a reality show over here. It is interesting and it's never a dull moment, right? But in that, over the years, I wanted to make sure I didn't overstep my boundaries, right? Because that's a fine line, right? When you talk about stepkids with their the biological parents in their lives. So I wanted to make sure I didn't overstep my boundaries, but at the same time, make sure I was doing enough as the step parent, as another father figure in their life. So it was more so, picking and choosing, you know, my battles or when to interject, when to lay back. Like it's an art to that. It's an art to that. But it's also, with the love and respect they have for me, they looking forward to hearing what I have to say about situations, about what's going on in their lives or our lives or the world, right? So they definitely seek the counsel. It's just understanding, it's more just trying to make sure they're on the right track. We're not leading them astray. At the same time, we're learning from each other because, we're older, they're younger. I got at least some years. Like, you could ruin a relationship by, being too judgmental, not listening, dismissing their feelings, not, stuff like that. So it can definitely be, uh, it could be a fine line, right? But I build rapport with them to the fact that, it's, I don't foresee that happening because, my oldest stepdaughter, she a Capricorn like me. So we be reading the energies and reading the room, and our conversations are comical, and and they're very much open, and we're open books. So you never know what's going to be said. Never, like I said, never a dull moment in the conversations, right? My middle stepdaughter with the kids, it's so funny, like watching her parent and, you know, looking back to how I parent and how I got parented, right? So you get to see the correlations of generations and everything. And just, you just shake your head like, you see something or you hear something, you be like, because that wouldn't fly if it was you or, your mom's or your grandmother, it's just, but the conversations are hilarious, of course. The things they say, the things they believe, how some of the stuff is really so different and opposite. It's just, you gotta just laugh to keep from crying sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Cause you be like, man, like, was I this bad? You get to ask yourself, like, was I this bad? But this how life goes sometimes. And then my stepson, he's the only boy. So, we get that man to man conversation stuff going on, cause I understand being around women all the time. I've been raised around, my moms and raised around women, mainly women. I'm the oldest boy in my immediate family, so yeah, I get it. So we, give me a chance to vent and let loose, and just you know, get off that testosterone because I know how it can be. That's why I got this man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you call me, I'm either on the porch or I'm here. Okay, so I get it. But he's the one to be cutting me up, chopping me up after my wife rebraids me and everything. So his handle on Instagram is King Cuts. He does music and stuff too. So he'll come and ask me to listen to his music and what I think. So those types of things, like, I don't take for granted because I know everybody's situation is not the best when it comes to step parenting and stepfathering and step kids. I've never got the infamous phrase, "Oh, you're not my daddy." I never got that. So I'm very fortunate. So I use that to my advantage to pour into them. You know, um, when you can have stepkids come to you and ask for your opinion without you soliciting it, you got something cooking there. You really do. And I always want to be a help to somebody, part of the solution and not part of the problem. That's all been my moniker. Like, if I can't do the one, I'm not gonna do the other. So I get out the way. But you got to just know when to, you know, pull your punches. You got to know when to, die on a heel for certain things. But like I said, the respect has always been there. I don't foresee anything crazy. Um, they listen to me. Uh, respect is mutual back and forth. So, I mean, I'm blessed. I'm blessed in that regard. And I also had to talk to my brother-in-law, John Calhoun, which is he's the pastor of um, Gospel Hill Baptist Church. And just saying. All right. Um, he's dealt with the stepfathering situation, and I confided in him, and I talked to him about his approach, what kind of situations he had, and what advice he had for me, because it was a situation where I saw something that I really wasn't, I guess one too fond of, but at the same time, you got to be able to communicate with the biological parents. In the perfect world, everybody's working together. Biological parents, step parents, it's all, but that's not always what it's going to be for everybody's situation. But just it was just a new situation for me, and just want to make sure I wasn't crazy. Make sure that just get some guidance, right? Because I don't know everything. I'm not perfect, right? So, but yeah, it was just you want to respect the boundaries of the parents. Everybody have a role to play. So, but he gave me some good insight on that front. because, um, you know, as adults, it's like, you want to tell them what they should be doing, but at the same time, they're their own person, right? And they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and you just hope that they take the guidance. And if they don't take the guidance and it ends up going wrong, they learn from the wisdom they were trying to get put on to, right? So that's all you can hope. But I can tell you one thing: parenting does not stop, no matter how old your kids get. I'm learning that now with my stepkids, right? And what the kids learn is that being an adult is not always cracked up to be, right? So, so it's just one of those things where it's like, yep. But I love the journey though of being the stepfather, and I love the journey. I learned so much. I'm growing. Me and my wife, we talk about all the time, you know, things that we pick up or things we missed. It's just one of those things where you constantly developing, right? So I don't, take that for granted or get, irritated about it, because that's just part of life and being a parent. But on the flip side though, y'all, I'm gonna be transparent and honest with y'all, because that's just how this thing works. How this works best, being vulnerable. So on April 24th, it was my youngest daughter's birthday. Now, for those who don't know, I have 3 daughters. They live in Georgia with their mom. My youngest daughter, her birthday was April 24th. She turned 11. So, pretty much that most of the day I was just outside on the porch, like I'm always, for the most part, in my chair. And I was in my head daydreaming about what we would be doing, what she sound like, because I ain't heard her voice in over a year. I ain't seen her in over 3 years. Like, what is she like? What we be doing? Because I don't know, right? So my mind was scatterbrained. It was all over the place. Like, man, what about this? Oh, can we do this? Don't know. But I'm in my head, right? So I guess my wife's spider sense, kicked off. She came outside. She was like, "What's wrong? You like something wrong? Like, you got a problem with me?" Something like that. I'm like, no. I was like, no, I don't know. No, I'm good. I don't got a problem with you. But I'm always teasing, that with the situation here, I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna leave, go to my mama house, right? I'm always teasing, right? But I had to let her know, like, no, I ain't got no problem with you. But it's crazy because I don't know how she do it. And I told her this. So when she left, then I guess I got convicted. I don't know. So I asked myself, I said, okay, Nelson, what's going on? Like, what's the problem? And it was just one of those things where it just hit me, right? Because I guess I was overdue for a spiritual cleansing, right? I guess long overdue. So I started thinking, and I'm just like, man, like, I'm thinking about my daughter and like her birthday. I can't even tell her happy birthday, because the whole court stuff and all that craziness. And I just finally said to myself, I'm sad. That's what's wrong. I'm sad. And to make it even worse, when I thought about the dynamic of me and my daughters, right? My youngest daughter, she'll be the first to look me in my face and my eyes and be like, "Daddy, what's wrong? How are you doing, Daddy? You okay?" Right? So that sent the waterworks, right? When I had that thought, the waterworks was coming. I was crying. I was outside by myself. Nobody was around me, but I was just crying, man. Just getting that soul cleansing. Had to get that release. It was time, right? But I had to be honest with myself, and I was like, yeah, I'm sad. And it's okay. It's okay. And to magnify that, I just joined a Gospel Hill Baptist Church. So you meeting the congregation, you meeting new people, and they're asking about kids, and I can talk about my stepkids, my grandkids all day, you know what I'm saying? But they're like, "You got kids?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." But it's like, yeah, but question mark, you know what I'm saying? In the conversation, it's like, man, it sucks. It's so annoying, man. But it's not their fault. But it's like, dang, man, like, so that makes me sad. That makes me, but I just had to admit it to myself and be like, it's okay. You know, I'm not weak. I just had a weak moment. I had it. I was able to go tell my wife about it, express to her and get my feelings out and not hold them in. See, the dangerous part when you hold them in, you know. So I know I'm stronger for doing that, and I learned that in counseling about over 2 years ago. Okay, to be able to sit in those moments, have those moments, don't judge them, don't neglect them, don't dismiss them, but feel it. Have the moment. All right, pick yourself up and move forward. Now I didn't know that day I was going to be sad or cry. I didn't know. So it's just one of those things where, um, yeah, sorry about that, little technical difficulties. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, I didn't have it. There wasn't a plan. There wasn't in my plan of the day, right? So, but nobody was around me, so I could have kept it to myself, but I didn't, right? And I felt so much better with that release, shedding those tears and releasing that. But yeah, it's it becomes, it becomes nerve wracking at times, trying to fight and weather the storm as you fathering and parenting and stepfathering, and it's just it can weigh on you if you're not careful. But I mean, I would say I guess it snuck up on me because at first I was fine before my wife came and talked to me, but then I wasn't. So it's just one of those things. You just never know. You never know. But that's why the stepfathering is intensified because of the lack of time spent with my biological kids, right? So I go extra hard because at the end of the day, I want somebody to do the same for my daughters. At the end of the day, it's not about being bitter. It's not about being mad. It's not about being, just envious or jealous. It's just more like, you know what? These are the cards that I were dealt. I'm gonna play my hand the best way I can. So those stepkids and them grandkids are going to the best of me at all times. That's my duty, as far as I'm concerned. They're gonna get the best of me until my daughters can get the best of me again. But it's more so just understanding who you are and what you're not, and what your parents did, what they didn't do, and just understanding at the end of the day, we all gonna fall short. We all gonna, we gonna miss the mark. We're not perfect, right? So, but at the same time, you want more hits than misses when it comes to this parenting thing. So you got to be deliberate. You got to be intentional, right? Everybody's situation is different when it comes to stepchildren and step parenting, but at the same time, they're still children. They need guidance. They need somebody to love on them, to guide them, to just, show that they help them see they exist in this world, find their purpose. And that's what I'm going to do at the end of the day. That's what I'm going to do. So hopefully this video, help somebody, inspire somebody, or you can raise your hand and be like, me too, or maybe like, nah, that ain't me. So hopefully it did one of those things. But before I get up out of here, I'm going to share with y'all some things that I've been doing or partaking in Black owned, companies and, products and stuff, right? So first I got the intellectual power, Rizza Islam. Go to intellectualpower.net. Okay. It helps with the sleep, mood, memory, like lower stress, improve sleep. Like I've been taking this a little over a year and a half now. It's the only supplement I take. So I stand by this. Intellectualpower.net. An OG a retired Marine, had recommended this book to me, The Invisible Ache by Courtney B. Vance and Dr. Robin Smith. Okay, it's about his mental health journey as a black man, you know, going facing, suicide and the family and his upbringing and, how he was taught and raised, you know. So as black men, we gotta understand we exist and our mental health matters, right? So this is a good read. I'm almost done with it. With The Invisible Ache. Good. And my big bro, Zoe Williams, The Shrouded Lighthouse. Just gonna get your self-work. Get that work in. Get yourself right. I'm telling you right now, get it in. Get it in. And this book will help. Zoe Williams, go to zoewilliams.com and Google it. You'll find it. And then last but not least, my big sister, Zaza Ali, Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance. As the title say, got to change that mind. You have to. No other way around it. Okay, Zaza Ali. She has a website, zazaali.com. Look it up. It's going to help you out. So these are some of the things that help me, stay on the right path. On top, of course, prayer, right? But we can't just have just prayer. You got to have some works behind it, right? Faith without works is what? Dead, right? As they say. So I have my faith, I have my prayer, but by myself, contrary to popular belief. But all I can do is put the word out and kind of lead you to the direction that I'm going. It may help you, may not. It may be for you, may not. That's not for me to decide. Okay. So at the end of the day, I leave with my famous quote. I can help you, but I can't save you. All right. Love y'all. Until next month. Peace.